And good morning. My name is Mark Swihart, and I'm the worship associate today. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. Whether you've been with this church for a decade or more, or whether this is your first time visiting, we welcome you. Whatever your faith and traditions of the past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are, whomever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, whatever your journey has been, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. Newcomers and guests are always welcome to participate in any of our church activities. If you'd like more information about our church or about Unitarian Universalism, please talk to our minister, Reverend Jane Thickstun. You can find her contact information at our website. Be sure to join us for coffee hour after the service. The Zoom link will be posted in the YouTube chat at the end of the service. We'll be breaking from there into small groups for better conversation. Also, at noon today, the in-person gathering task force is hosting a virtual town hall on the topic of reopening. Anyone with thoughts, concerns, success stories, and ideas is welcome to join us for that reopening Zoom meeting at noon today. Also this week, you can connect with each other by Zoom for informal chat on Tuesday afternoon and also at Wednesday night Vespers. Once again, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. It's good to be together, even virtually.
Good morning, everybody. Today is a good morning to be alive. Did you know we in the United States have an election coming up? There's a lot at stake. And it's important not only to vote, but to make sure our values of justice for all are reflected in the results. Our national denominational organization, the Unitarian Universalist Association, has been helping us influence the election in this way with its program called You the Vote, in order to inspire us all to get involved. They've provided inspirational worship materials for the service we're doing here today, including a sermon by our Unitarian Universalist Association president, the Reverend Susan Frederick-Gray. And we're also using an amazing choral piece they put together for us. And an extra special bonus, you'll get to hear a new song written and sung by our own Nancy Kepner. Our faith promises freedom, but with freedom comes responsibility. Let's be responsible citizens and keep our nation free. Hope is alive as long as we stay active. Come, let us join together in the celebration of life.
We ignite this flame, this symbol of our faith, to beckon us into community, warm our hearts with love, and give us a light to follow as we carry forth our faith into action. Now, would you please join together with us as we sing the first hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
This Wednesday, October 21st, is International Pronouns Day. This is a day when we recognize the importance of using correct pronouns to refer to one another. It's important to realize that we can't always assume we know someone's pronouns when meeting them. It's not something we can simply take for granted anymore. As more of our friends, family, and neighbors publicly identify as transgender, gender fluid, and intersex, it's important to know how they'd like to be referred to. It's okay to ask if you're not sure. A good example of a way to introduce yourself could be, "Hi, my name is Jane and my pronouns are she, her." And then they can introduce themselves with their pronouns. Or I could say, "Hi, my name is Jane and my pronouns are they, them." How about you? Misgendering, or referring to someone with pronouns other than the ones they prefer, can feel invalidating to that person. So it's important to try to remember to be respectful and to use the person's preferred pronouns. When we share the pronouns we prefer, we are showing solidarity and not singling out those who are in the minority. Let's be mindful of the pronouns people prefer on International Pronouns Day and every day.
Good morning. I'm Lynn Richards from the Lay Pastoral Care Team. During our service, we create this sacred space for sharing within our community. It is a time to share significant life passages with the congregation so that you can be held in loving care. We did not have any submitted joys and sorrows this week. So, we'll place one stone in the sand for all the joys and sorrows that exist in our hearts, but remain unspoken today. The sand represents our congregation, supporting the sorrows and lifting up the joys. We especially think of everyone suffering directly or indirectly from this ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Please read with me the words appearing on the screen, understanding that "here" includes all those watching. Let us hold in our circle of caring each person here. Let us hold in our hearts those who are unable to be with us today. Let us hold in our memories those who have moved on. Let us find comfort in knowing that we are not alone.
May I be light in you. May you be light in me. Into our hearts, into our souls, let love abide. May I be love in you. May you be love in me. From this place out to the world for all time. Spirit of life, sources of all that ever was and can be, we are guided by all that is sacred within our own hearts and minds to pray this prayer and to live this prayer. We offer up this simple and profound hope that we may be light, give light, and receive light in all the places we call home and in this sacred space that reaches across miles and experiences. That we may be love, give love, and receive love out in the world. May we never forget the impact and power of our voices. May we never lose sight of the songs in our hearts. D. Blanchard reminds us that they can be heard as songs of love or of longing, songs of encouragement or of comfort, songs of struggle or of security and care. But most of all, they are the songs of life, giving testimony to what has been, giving praise for all we're given, giving hope for all we strive for, and giving voice to the great mystery that carries each of us in and out of this world. Today, we hear those songs in all the ways we are learning and growing as communities of faith, hope, and love. We hear them as little ones become young ones. We hear them as loved ones pass from this life and into the unknown. And we hear them in the streets and at our polling places as people of faith and conscience pave the way for a better world, a better understanding, deeper care, and accountability. And we hear them in the silences, a deep awareness that there are those among us as yet unheard and unaccounted for. May we never, ever forget the impact and the power of our voices. May we never, ever lose sight of the songs in our hearts. May grace and mercy follow us wherever we may go, whatever we feel called to and toward in the days and weeks ahead. Amen. Ashe. And blessed be.
I was 13 years old when I became a Unitarian Universalist. I was raised in this faith, but I was 13 when I claimed it as my own. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I was waiting for my parents to finish their committee meetings after service. All the other kids had left, and I was bored. I wandered into the visitor's corner, and a little red wallet card caught my eye. It said in bold letters on the front, "What do Unitarian Universalists believe?" My 13-year-old self wondered, what do Unitarian Universalists believe? As I read the 10 statements written by the Reverend David O. Rankin, in my heart, in my soul, as I read those words, I said, yes, this is what I believe. One phrase in particular planted itself in me like the deepest truth, and I never forgot it. We believe in the motive force of love. It was in that moment when I knew that this was my religion. I start with this story to ground the work of UU the Vote in our theology, which is its foundation and its inspiration. This year marks the 250th anniversary of what we celebrate as the beginning of universalism in the United States. It was on September 30th, 1770, that Universalist John Murray preached his first sermon on this continent. And the truth that I read in that little red wallet card, the truth I've never forgotten, is the message of universalism. 250 years ago, in the context of religious notions of God rooted in punishment, damnation, and the division of humanity between worthy and unworthy, saved and damned, the idea of universal salvation, that God's love is unconditional, that no one is cast out, and that salvation is not individual but collective, was radical and liberating. Universalism proclaimed that humanity was bound together in a common destiny, and that love is the thread that binds each of us to the other and everyone to creation. Universalists believed that God is love. They also believed in hell. They just believed that it existed here and now on the earth. The great Universalist preacher Hosea Ballou was clear about how politicians and those in power used fear, stoked fear, to protect their greed and corruption and self-interest, and he knew the suffering that resulted from that. Rather than speak of theology in terms of speculative notions of God, Ballou spoke of it in terms of human experience here and now and our relationships to each other. A society that lives out the motive force of love would be one that fosters joy and liberation and thriving for all people. This is the highest calling of our faith as Unitarian Universalists, to live out, defend, and embrace this motive force of love in our lives, in our actions, in our commitments, and in our society. This is why UU the Vote says vote love. Today, in our context, we are witnessing the emboldening and authorization of ideologies rooted not in love and interdependence, but in domination, authoritarianism, and dehumanization. And just to be clear, this is not new. It has a long and deadly history on this continent, going back more than 400 years. And yes, even our Universalist ancestors came from that same lineage of Christian European conquest and limited the vision of universalism only to white society, a limit that we are still trying to redeem ourselves from. It is dehumanization that creates systems that put children in cages, that deny health care to our transgender siblings, that allow police violence and the murder of Black people to continue unabated and without accountability. Dehumanization that allows triage protocols that devalue the lives of disabled people and that lead to systemic divestment from communities, the resources from housing to education, healthcare to jobs, and the criminalization of poverty. Just as Hosea Ballou named it, the tool of dehumanization, its propaganda, is fear. Propaganda that tells us to fear our neighbor, that we are not family and kin, but enemies. This is the exact opposite of our theology of universalism that tells us that we have a common destiny and we are connected to one another in love. This is why UU the Vote says vote love, defeat hate. And while the forces of dehumanization and domination have always been a part of U.S. history, so too have been those who have resisted and organized for the values of dignity, equity, humanity, and love. These days are heartbreaking, they're infuriating, and they're frightening. On days when I lose my own strength, I turn to the words of Alice Walker, who reminds us, we remember our ancestors because it is an easy thing to forget, that we are not the first to suffer, rebel, fight, love, and die. The grace with which we embrace life in spite of the pain and the sorrow is always a measure of what has gone before us. We remember our ancestors, theological, familial, and in movement. We remember Francis, Ellen Watkins Harper, Hosea Ballou, John Brown, Sitting Bull, Ida B. Wells, Dr. King, Anne Braden, and so many more whose names history does not remember. Those who struggled and risked and fought and loved for the principles of justice, equity, liberty. This is why in UU the Vote, we say vote love, we say defeat hate, because, dear ones, we are on a precipice. Every single one of our most deeply held values is on the line right now. The current powers in government are showing in everything they do that the inherent worth and dignity of so many immigrants, Black people, disabled folks, trans and queer people does not matter to them. Human agency, interdependence, the democratic process are being disrupted and defiled daily. It is a radical act of faith to not only continue to believe in all of our cherished principles, but to demand them by speaking out, taking risks, organizing, leveraging our resources, and building networks of solidarity and power to protect one another and these values. We are on a precipice, and our actions right now will affect whether we have a chance to continue to bring our bold values forward, to rebuild, expand, and strengthen our democracy, to confront police violence, to upend racial inequity, to change divestment from communities, and make moves to protect the climate. Now is the time to draw on the grace, the courage, and the strength of all those who went before, to widen our comfort zones, and to do all we can to vote love and defeat hate. If you haven't taken any form of action yet, sign up for a shift with UU the Vote. I can tell you that it's fun. And if you've written postcards to voters, but you feel nervous about phone banking, do it with your fellow UUs. And if you've been all in with UU the Vote from the beginning, keep it up and start planning for how you will show up and organize after November 3rd. Because democracy will not be restored in one election. It's been under systemic attack for decades, and justice will not roll down like waters in one election. Voting matters. It's absolutely critical, but it is not the end. It is just one piece of the long haul work of organizing for a future where all are free and where all can thrive. Will you show up in the streets, set up to contribute to a bail or legal assistance fund, open your church building to protesters needing refuge from state repression, tap into your own endowment or discretionary funds to make sure that grassroots organizers have the funds they need for their work? There is so much to do. And our faith calls us to love more radically, to give more generously, to believe more fervently that another world is possible, and be willing to be all in for that future. As you've heard me say many times before, this is no time for a casual faith, no time for a casual commitment to what you hold most dear. And this is no time to go it alone. Friends, we are in this work together. I invite you to be deeper in this work of UU the Vote with us. May we remember that we are held by love always. May we remember that we are held by and with one another. And may we all together be all in today, tomorrow, next month, and next year for justice, for love, for democracy, and for a future that is free and thriving for all people. May it be so.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these vibes. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we cry. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
Hi, I'm Nicole Presley, National Organizer of You the Vote, and I'm so honored to be a part of You the Vote and a part of this special worship service. By this time, you've probably gotten used to virtual worship. You've made sure your computer is charged, you've searched your email for Zoom links, or you've scrolled through your social media feed for the live stream. But from whatever platform you're entering worship today, you are in sacred space. Getting here was not easy. Remember the spring? Remember, many of us had to learn new skills and to stretch ourselves and maybe our internet speed to continue to gather with our beloved faith community. We learned Zoom, we downloaded apps, and we reached out for help to be with one another. Transformation is always a stretch, and we need to bring that same energy to this year's election. In the past few months, I have witnessed amazing things from all of you. We created a goal to reach out to 1 million voters, and we are almost there. We stretched ourselves. We stretched ourselves to get on another Zoom call, to learn to text voters, phone bank, and send postcards. We learned how to be vulnerable and have critical conversations with members of our communities. UUs, we are not just a faith community that believes another world is possible, but we are a community that is willing to act to make that world a reality. We have a legacy of showing up, and we know that our victories are never guaranteed, and we know that those victories are never won by those in power ceding it willingly. The people imagined it, the people demanded it, and we, the people, gathered to make it so. In all of our movements, the stakes were high. But instead of mobilizing out of the fear of defeat, we have organized out of a sacred calling to build a world that we know is possible. That is why nonpartisan work is not just important, but is absolutely revolutionary. We come together to learn, to create, and to put into practice ways of being towards our collective liberation. That is our victory. And as the chant goes, I believe that we will win. I believe that together, through sacred and sustained work, now and beyond November, we can call forth a world that moves towards our collective liberation. But we must all show up to vote love in 2020. That means showing up to the work that is needed, not just the work that is comfortable. That means showing up in service and in solidarity to combat a sinful campaign of voter suppression and intimidation. That means recognizing that white supremacy and capitalism are the technologies through which political agency and democracy are stripped from marginalized communities. So when I say vote love, I don't just mean voting our values, although I absolutely want you to do that if you are able. I don't just mean showing up to voter contact work, even though I absolutely want everyone to join into this work. I mean centering the oppressed, working to free them all, to defend Black lives, to fight for climate justice and healthcare for all, for reproductive justice, and for safe and thriving schools and communities. I mean continuing whatever work is necessary to make sure every ballot is counted and that the results and will of the people are respected. We have important choices to make in 2020, but if we are to really vote love and defeat hate in 2020, we must also commit to continue to side with love every single day after November 3rd and into 2021. If you are in it for the long haul, if you believe that another world is possible because you are gathered in a community that puts faith into action, if you are ready to stretch beyond November 3rd to protect democracy, join us. Take the Vote Love Pledge to join a team that is organizing to take action in this election and ready to mobilize after November 3rd for the work ahead. Join me. Take your phone out, text Pledge Love to 51555 to take the pledge today, or go online at uuthevote.org. We need everyone in this work. Thank you for finding your role in this work. Thank you for doing it with joy and hopefulness. And thank you for joining UU the Vote. Let's make sure love always wins.
So Facebook keeps on asking if you're registered to vote, and you get texts from random numbers asking which way you will go, and you're done with it, I get it. We should change the subject, yes. Just kidding, no. Because you're standing on the sidelines and we're stuck in the wrong timeline, and the deadline is approaching. Let's not leave this to the hive mind. Look, I know you have opinions. Yes, I've seen your latest posts. I too am tired of the politics of old white men, but this vote is not about them. Vote for you, vote for me, vote for the world you want to see. Vote your values, vote your dreams against the things that make you scream. The country's sick, here's the vaccine. If everyone votes as a team, there'll be no way they can ignore us. We'll make the system work for us. It's up to you to vote for you, you the vote. All congregations across the nation, let's get busy making change. 'Cause lately there's been so much chaos that the crazy seems mundane. So register and spread the word, or we could leave it up to fate. Still kidding, no. Vote by mail or vote in person. I still think this country's worth it, but the software needs an update. Let's install a later version, and then someday it might work the way it should for every person. So let's go. Let's go. Vote for you, vote for me, vote for the world you wanna see. Vote your values, vote your dreams. If everyone votes as a team, there'll be no way they can ignore us. We'll make the system work for us. It's up to you to vote for you, the vote. It's time to vote. It's time to vote. It's time to vote. Vote for your passions. Vote for the truth. Vote for the future. Vote for the youth. Don't go with the flow. We can change the tide. Vote for your country. Vote for your life. Vote for equality, for democracy, 'cause you're done and you don't want to talk to me. Yes, I'm sick of hearing it too. But come on, be selfish. Just vote for you. Vote for you. Vote for me. Vote for the world you want to see. Vote your values. Vote your dreams. If everyone votes as a team, there'll be no way they can ignore us. We'll make the system work for us. It's up to you to vote for you. Vote for you. Vote for me. Vote for the world you want to see. Vote your values. Vote your dreams against the things that make you scream. The country's sick. Here's the vaccine. If everyone votes as a team, there'll be no way they can ignore us. We'll make the system work for us. This is your voice. It's up to you to make the choice to vote for you. You are the vote, so vote for you, you the vote.
I got trained as a community organizer with Californians for Justice. And there we believed that people of color, immigrants, poor folks, queer folks, disabled folks, and young people are the majority. And if we organized our communities to vote, we could shift power to reflect our values and interests and needs for racial justice and economic justice and more. And now, as a field organizer with UU The Vote in Pennsylvania, I still believe this strategy, that voting can be a means to a power shift. It's not the only strategy, but it is one worthwhile strategy among many. So welcome to my field. Here with my reading glasses and my large screen, instead of my sunglasses and walking shoes for door knocking, the organizing field of pandemic times, where we gather in Zoom rooms large and small to reach thousands upon thousands of voters and potential voters. Just before recording this, 20 of us from Pennsylvania, Maryland, Washington, D.C., my own Connecticut, and Massachusetts gathered in a Zoom room with our partners at CASA, a group organizing to build power in immigrant and working class communities in central Pennsylvania. In 2 hours, we sent over 60,000 texts to urge folks to check and update their voter registration or to get registered. We texted with people who had lost their jobs and apartments due to the pandemic, and we connected them with community resources. We texted with someone who is homeless and helped them get the information they need to be able to register to vote. We texted with lots of folks who weren't sure if their registration was up to date and helped them check their status. We know that over 90 of them followed up to register. And we texted with some people who said they follow God's law, and their faith tells them not to participate in voting. Dear ones, our faith says that the here and now matters. That we live our faith not for the possibility of heaven when we die, but to create heaven here on earth. What we do, what you do, matters. And so we work. We UU the vote. We text the vote. We postcard the vote. We phone bank the vote. We use the tools at hand, spiritual, technological, relational, to connect with people around our values. If you haven't considered calling voters yet, please step out of your comfort zone and try it. Join us in this sacred connection and faithful work. There is so much to do, and so little time before the election. And there is so much to do after the election, because we are in this not to elect a particular person, but to shift power to reflect our faith, our values, so that we can keep organizing for a world where every person is loved, sheltered, valued, and has what they need to thrive. A single honeybee makes just 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in its lifetime. It takes 70 honeybees just to make my morning tea. Like honeybees, it is up to each of us to do our part. Let us be honeybees. I ask you to do your 1/12 of a teaspoon. Perhaps 2 hours or 10 hours of work. Together it adds up to a whole lot of honey. I invite you to come join us in the virtual field. Make your small bit of honey so that together we as Unitarian Universalists can make gallons and gallons of impact.
Good morning. I'm Connie Hester. Back in August, I was getting really stressed out about the upcoming election. I contacted Reverend Jane. Maybe I was hoping she would say, I was being overly negative, it's not that bad. She didn't. She said UUA leaders are saying similar things. I have to admit, throughout my entire life, I have taken our democracy for granted. Over time, things just seem to get better and more just. Sue taught all of us about gerrymandering, and Fair Districts has done an amazing job. Today, 79% of Pennsylvanians understand gerrymandering, and they want it to stop. But things have actually gotten worse over time. In 2018, the constitutional change bills got passed in the Senate. But this session, they didn't even get a vote in either House or Senate government committees. Clearly, when almost 80% of Pennsylvanians want gerrymandering stopped, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people has perished in Harrisburg under the current leadership. When we look at the national level, during World War II, our leaders united everyone in the country to defend democracy both here and abroad. Everyone sacrificed. After the war, they formed democratic alliances, created NATO. We've benefited from a strong democracy for nearly 70 years. But our democracy, the strength of it, is measured by how united we are. Everyone, including the people, the parties, our elected officials, to the democratic ideas, the rule of law, and the balance of powers. Our civil servants take an oath to those ideals. But recently, we have seen people in key positions being replaced, resigning in protest when they're asked to do something against their oath. They are being silenced in their positions. It has to be really hard to be a civil servant these days. Democracy may not be the issue we care about most, but it has to be the issue we care about first, or our voices will be ignored. Think about the issues you care about for a moment. Without a strong democracy, you can forget about making progress on them. Pennsylvania has the highest probability at 26% of delivering the decisive vote in the Electoral College. In 2016, only 62% of registered voters cast a ballot. Who were they? Family? Friends? Colleagues? We don't know. People have to be registered by tomorrow, Monday, October 19th, in order to vote in the upcoming election. Between now and Election Day, encourage everyone you know to vote. Even if you're not eligible to vote yourself, make sure everyone knows how important it is. Our democracy is under attack. Even if the vote picks a winner, risk will continue until the Electoral College casts their votes in December. Any questions about the election results could cause Pennsylvania legislators to pick a slate of electors to elect the person who has received fewer votes. We know from an Atlantic article that Pennsylvania legislative leaders have discussed that possibility. We must unite to defend democracy. With our vote, we must overwhelmingly select the winner, so it is less likely the results will be contested. Failure to defend democracy in this moment could be the twilight of our democracy and the end of the American experiment.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. Feeling stronger every day. We are building
We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from the sacrifice and hard work of our members and friends, and we are so grateful for this. And we commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and for our world than they could have done alone. May we give today in love and in hope. May these gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to all we stand for as a community of faith.
As we extinguish the chalice flame which has danced through our time together, we commit ourselves again to keep the flame of justice burning bright, especially in those times and places where justice is denied, with those people whose humanity is denied. And never will we extinguish the flame that burns in our communities, the flame of love, the flame that burns in our hearts, our minds, our spirits, and our bodies, the flame that burns in our care for one another in our communities.
Friends, I offer you these words from the Reverend Darcy Roque. There is too much hardship in this world to not find joy every day. There is too much injustice in this world to not right the balance every day. There is too much pain in this world to not heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day.
Every day.
Every day.